American politics has once again turned into a worldwide spectacle. President Donald Trump has found himself at the center of a major new scandal that many analysts are already calling one of the most dangerous crises of his political career. The past few weeks have become a real test for the White House. Threats toward Iran, growing tensions with Europe, internal divisions among Republicans, accusations of unpredictability, a shocking shooting incident, and controversial comments about Russia have all hit the administration at the same time. American media outlets report that the atmosphere in Washington is becoming increasingly tense. Political analysts compare the current situation to some of the biggest crises of recent decades. Even some of Trump's allies have begun to openly admit that the situation is getting out of control. The Iran scandal became the breaking point. The biggest source of international controversy has been Trump's actions regarding Iran. For several weeks, the U.S. president made extremely aggressive statements threatening Tehran with new military strikes. Amid these threats, American aircraft carriers were placed on heightened alert, while global media began discussing the possibility of another major war in the Middle East. However, just one day before a possible military operation, the situation suddenly changed. The White House sharply softened its rhetoric, and Trump himself began speaking about diplomacy and negotiations. According to journalists, Washington came under pressure from U.S. allies in the Middle East, primarily Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. These countries feared that a full-scale war could have catastrophic consequences for the entire region. After this reversal, a new scandal exploded in the American press. Critics accused the president of inconsistency and political theater. A viral term known as taco quickly spread across social media, short for Trump always chickens out. The meme rapidly became a symbol of ridicule aimed at the president's foreign policy decisions. Political experts note that the problem is not only Trump's harsh statements, but also the overall atmosphere of chaos. First, the White House signals readiness for military action, then suddenly changes course and begins talking about peace. As a result, America's allies no longer understand what direction Washington is actually taking. The situation also caused panic in financial markets. Oil prices fluctuated sharply, investors started pulling money from risky assets, and stock markets reacted to nearly every new presidential statement. Israel reportedly frustrated with Washington. The crisis also seriously damaged relations between the United States and Israel. According to American media reports, Israeli leadership expected a tougher stance from Washington against Iran. However, after Trump backed away from military escalation, frustration reportedly grew within Israeli political circles. Some Israeli officials anonymously told reporters that the U.S. administration appeared chaotic and inconsistent. According to them, allies are no longer receiving clear signals from the White House and do not understand how far Washington is actually willing to go. This became a major blow to Trump's image as a politician who had previously presented himself as one of Israel's strongest supporters on the global stage. Europe increasingly clashes with Trump at the same time. Relations between the United States and European allies have also worsened. During NATO meetings, representatives of European countries have become increasingly vocal in expressing dissatisfaction with White House policies. The conflict escalated after Trump once again stated that Europe should pay for its own security. The U.S. president argued that Washington had spent too many years protecting allies with American money. These remarks caused a political storm throughout European media. In Germany, France, and Poland, discussions have intensified about creating a new European defense system, less dependent on the United States. Some analysts have even started speaking about the beginning of a historic split within NATO. French politicians reacted especially sharply to Trump's comments. Officials in Paris fear that a reduction in American support could leave Europe far more vulnerable to global threats. Inside the alliance, diplomats increasingly use the phrase crisis of trust. European officials privately admit that many White House decisions now appear impulsive and difficult to predict. Republicans are starting to panic, although Trump still maintains enormous support among his core voters. Growing concern is becoming visible within the Republican Party itself. According to American publications, some senators and members of Congress fear that the constant scandals surrounding the president could damage the party's future election chances. Several Republicans are reportedly frustrated that the White House seems to generate a new crisis almost daily. From international conflicts to explosive domestic controversies, Business leaders are particularly nervous about the instability in financial markets. Following new threats toward Iran and rising Middle East tensions, investors began fearing higher oil prices and a potential economic downturn. Some members of the business community, who previously supported Trump, are now criticizing the administration for unpredictability. They argue that the U.S. economy needs stability, not constant political shocks. Trump's approval ratings begin to fall amid all the scandals. Trump's approval ratings have started to decline. According to recent polls, many independent voters are becoming increasingly disappointed with White House policies. The strongest dissatisfaction appears among younger Americans and residents of major cities. Many believe the administration is too focused on conflicts and dramatic statements, instead of solving domestic issues. American television networks now discuss political crisis scenarios almost every day. Analysts openly question whether the White House is still capable of controlling the situation. Trump himself continues insisting that his policies are successful, and claims that criticism against him is part of an information war, led by liberal media organizations. Shooting incident shocked the United States. Another major blow to the administration came after a shooting incident at the Washington Hilton Hotel. During an event attended by the president, Secret Service agents urgently evacuated Trump and the First Lady from the building. Although the president was unharmed, the incident instantly became headline news across American television. Social media platforms were flooded with footage showing security officers rapidly escorting Trump out of the venue. The video spread online within hours. Critics of the president argued that the country is becoming increasingly unstable, and that political hatred in America has reached dangerous levels. Trump supporters, meanwhile, claimed the incident demonstrated the serious threats faced by the president on a daily basis. Controversy over Russia. Another wave of criticism erupted after Trump mentioned the possibility of visiting Russia in 2026. Following these comments, American media exploded with debates over the political consequences of such a move. Democrats immediately accused the president of being too soft toward Moscow. Some former diplomats claimed that statements like these weaken America's global position. Television networks highly critical of Trump devoted hours of coverage to discussing whether a presidential visit to Russia during a period of global tension could become politically disastrous. Trump defended his comments by saying he wants to search for ways to resolve international conflicts peacefully. Nevertheless, the controversy quickly escalated into another fierce political battle inside the United States. Social media turns into a battlefield again. American society once again appears deeply divided. Trump supporters believe the president is acting tough and defending U.S. interests despite pressure from political elites and media organizations. They argue that Europe has simply grown too dependent on American protection, and that criticism of the White House is part of a broader campaign against Trump. Opponents see things very differently. In their view, Trump's chaotic statements and constant conflicts are undermining trust in the United States. Across the world, millions of posts discussing White House scandals appear daily on TikTok, X, and YouTube. Political bloggers are gaining enormous audiences by analyzing every presidential speech and controversy. Some experts now describe the current media environment as a new political reality, where a single statement from a world leader can trigger a global crisis or shake financial markets within minutes. The White House claims media conspiracy. The Trump administration continues denying that any real crisis exists. White House representatives insist the president is acting decisively and protecting American interests. According to Trump's inner circle, media organizations are deliberately exaggerating scandals in an attempt to create the image of chaos. Trump himself has repeatedly accused major television networks of spreading fake news and manipulating public opinion. During one of his recent speeches, the president declared that America is strong again and claimed his opponents are afraid of change. However, even some conservative analysts admit that the sheer number of scandals surrounding the administration has become unprecedented. What happens next? Political experts believe the coming months could become decisive for Trump's future. If international conflicts continue escalating and the economic situation worsens, pressure on the White House will intensify even further. One major concern is the possibility of rising oil prices and growing instability in global financial markets. In the event of another economic crisis, public frustration inside the United States could increase dramatically. At the same time, Trump remains one of the most influential and media-dominating politicians in the world. Even his critics acknowledge his ability to control public attention and transform any situation into a massive political spectacle. For now, the entire world is closely watching how the latest White House scandal will unfold. Some believe Trump will once again survive the crisis and emerge stronger. Others are convinced that the current wave of controversies could become the most dangerous challenge of his political career.